ahead and turn to Matthew 5. We are going to discuss Matthew chapter 5, 6, and 7. This is the Sermon on the Mount. Most of us here should be familiar with it. It is broken down into four very basic parts. The first part is the Beatitudes. The second part is the exhortations of good behavior. And the third part is the contrast between Jewish law and the law of love. And then Christ closes with a parable. When you look at where the red letters begin, the words of Jesus Christ, this is starting in verse 3. Blessed are the poor. Verse 4. Blessed are those who mourn. Verse 5. Blessed are the gentle. Verse 6. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness. Verse 7. Blessed are the merciful. Verse 8. Blessed are the pure in heart. Verse 9. Blessed are the peacemakers. Verse 10. Blessed are those who have been persecuted for the sake of righteousness. Jesus Christ here is laying out, these are the people that I came for. The Beatitudes are about, these are the people who are going to inherit the earth. These are the people that the law of liberty is for. Each one has its own blessing that is given to them, but my main purpose is so that you can remember what the Sermon on the Mount is and how it goes. This very first part is Christ outlining who the kingdom is. In verse 11, we have the first chiasm. Blessed are you when people insult you and persecute you and falsely say all kinds of evil things against you because of me. This is part of the Beatitudes, but it is where he shifts his focus from these are the people that I'm coming for to you are now in the limelight. And the second part of the Sermon on the Mount begins. You are the salt of the earth. You are the light of the world. Let your light show. For truly I say to you, Christ is now telling his disciples how to behave. Not just what it is going to be one of the people. Not just what it means to who the church is going to come for, but what your responsibility is now that you are blessed. He moves on because he looks out and he sees in the audience the Pharisees. And he begins the third portion of the Beatitudes. Or not the Beatitudes, the third portion of the Sermon on the Mount. You have heard it that the ancients were told, you shall not commit murder. Now he is taking the small piece, what you were given as the law and told not to do, and he's saying, this is what it means. Not just what do the words say, not just what is the letter, but what is the spirit. This is the assimilation taking hold in our lives. You have heard it said, thou shalt not commit adultery. But I say unto you, if a man looks at a woman with lust in his heart, he has already committed adultery with her in his own heart. That cuts clean to the bone. This is Christ going, you have the law, but this is what it really means. And later I'm going to show you how we live in accordance with it. But right now, you need to know what it means to live under the law so you can understand everything else. Do not be worried about life. Ask and you shall receive. He is going and comparing what the Pharisees know and expanding it from that seed, from the very beginnings of what was laid out in Exodus, in Leviticus. He is explaining what was there from the beginning. Then he tells his disciples in the fourth part of the sermon, Therefore, everyone who hears these words of mine and acts on them may be compared to a wise man who built his house on the rock. And the rain fell, and the floods came, and the winds blew, and slammed against that house, and yet it did not fall, for it had been founded on the rock. Everyone who hears these words of mine and does not act on them will be a foolish man who built his house on sand. The rain fell, and the floods came, and the winds blew and slammed against the house, and it fell, and great was its fall. This is telling us to go back and look. Who is in the family of God? Those who are blessed, be they weak, be they gentle, be they merciful, and how they must behave as the salt and the light, and that they cannot allow themselves to be caught up in the letter and forsake the spirit.